want to marry a man who earns in a month what I spend on my dog's food? Listen to me and listen well. If you walk out of that door with him, consider yourself dead to this family.
My father, Chief Ebuka, believed that money was the only language worth speaking. He was a man who didn't see souls, he saw assets. He measured a person's worth by the weight of their pockets and the brand of the cars parked in their driveway. I was his only daughter, his diamond, but to him, even a diamond was just something to be traded for a higher price. He had already picked out a husband for me, the son of a billionaire oil tycoon, a man I didn't love, a man who saw me as just another trophy for his collection. But my heart belonged to Samuel. Samuel was a humble schoolteacher who lived in a cramped one-room apartment that smelled of old books and hope. He didn't have a car, he didn't have a title, but he had a soul of gold and a vision that stretched far beyond the dusty horizon of our town. When the day finally came that I stood in our marble-floored living room and told my father I wanted to marry Samuel, the very walls of our mansion seemed to shake with his rage. You want to marry a man who earns in a month what I spend on my dog's food? He roared, his face turning a deep, angry purple. Listen to me, and listen well. If you walk out of that door with him, consider yourself dead to this family. You will leave with nothing. No name, no money, no inheritance. I will strip you of everything but the clothes on your back. Let's see how long love keeps you warm when you are hungry and the world turns its back on you. I looked at the gold-plated furniture, the servants standing in the shadows, and the luxury I had known my whole life. Then I looked through the window at Samuel, standing patiently by the gate in his worn-out shoes. I didn't hesitate. I chose Samuel. That day, my father called a meeting of all his kinsmen and officially disowned me. He erased my name from his will and told the world I was no longer his daughter. The first few years were a baptism by fire. We moved to a small, quiet town where nobody knew my last name or the wealth I had come from. We lived in a house where the roof leaked when it rained and the walls were thin. We ate bread and tea for dinner more times than I care to remember. I, who had never lifted a finger in my father's house, learned how to wash heavy blankets with my hands until my palms bled and my back ached. My father, in his bitterness, made sure to use his influence to block every high-paying job Samuel applied for in the city. He wanted to break us. He wanted to see me crawling back on my knees, begging for a crust of his bread. But Samuel was a man of quiet strength. He didn't break. Instead, he started a small after-school lessons program on our tiny, cramped veranda. At first, there were only 3 students, but his passion for teaching was infectious. The program grew. Soon, the veranda wasn't enough. He started a small tech hub, teaching the village youth how to code on 2 old, refurbished laptops. He worked 18 hours a day, fueled by a desire to give me the life I had given up for him. I was right there beside him every night, managing the accounts by candlelight and encouraging him when the world felt too heavy. We lived by one rule: work as if you have no help and pray as if you have no work. 10 years passed like a whirlwind. Our small tech hub transformed into a major software company that caught the attention of international investors. We built our first house, a modest, comfortable home. Then came the second, a mansion that rivaled the one I grew up in. We became known as the wealthy strangers in a new part of the city, respected for our hard work and our kindness. While we were rising, I began to hear whispers from my old life. The news was grim. My father's business partners had betrayed him in a massive fraud scheme. A government contract he had put all his remaining wealth into had gone south, leaving him in debt. His mansion was seized by the bank, his expensive cars were towed away, and the billionaire friends who used to toast to his health, they had vanished like smoke in the wind. One rainy evening, the sky was a bruised purple and the wind was howling against the windows of our new home. My security guard called me on the intercom, his voice sounding uncertain. "Madam, there is an old man at the gate," he said. "He looks very sick and he's soaked to the bone. He says he is looking for work, even if it's just to sweep the compound or wash the cars for a plate of food." Something moved in my spirit. I told the guard to bring him into the outer kitchen and give him a hot meal before we spoke. I walked down the long hallway, wondering who would be out in such weather. When I entered the kitchen, I saw an old man shivering uncontrollably. His clothes were torn, his hair was a messy nest of grey, and his face was sunken with exhaustion. He was eating a bowl of rice with such desperation, his hands shaking so hard that it broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. He looked up as the door creaked, and the moment our eyes locked, the spoon fell from his hand, clattering against the floor. It was Chief Ebuka. It was my father. He looked at me, then at the opulence of the house, and a look of deep, crushing shame washed over him. I didn't know this was your house," he whispered, his voice broken and barely audible over the rain. "I was told a kind man lived here who gives work to the elderly. Please don't call the police. I am leaving. I will go now." He tried to stand up, his pride still trying to flicker in the ashes of his life, but his legs failed him. He stumbled, and I rushed forward, catching him before he hit the cold floor. This was the man who had cursed me. This was the man who had tried to starve the love out of my heart. But as I held his frail, shivering body, all I felt was love. Samuel walked in a moment later. He stood in the doorway, taking in the scene. I waited for him to get angry. I waited for him to remind my father of the insults, the dog food comments, and the years he spent trying to ruin us. Instead, Samuel walked over with a look of pure compassion. He took my father's other arm, helping me lift him. "Welcome home, Papa," Samuel said, his voice calm and incredibly kind. "The master bedroom in the guest wing is being prepared for you right now. You are not a servant here, and you will never sweep a floor in this house. You are the father of the woman who made me the man I am today. You are home." My father stayed with us for months. We brought in the best doctors to nurse him back to health. He was quiet, humbled by a grace he didn't think he deserved. He never spoke of his old wealth or his titles again. One evening, as we sat together on the balcony watching the sunset, he reached out and held my hand with his frail one. "I spent my whole life building walls of money," he said, tears streaming down his wrinkled face. "I thought those walls would protect me from the world. But you built a house of love. And it's the only thing that saved me when the walls came crashing down. I disowned a daughter because I was blind. But in my poverty, I found a savior. Pride builds a house on sand, but humility builds a kingdom on a rock. Never be afraid to follow your heart, even if it leads you through the desert. Your desert might just be the place where you grow the strength to save those who once cast you out. Thank you for watching Lucci's Storytime. Where are you watching from? Please don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.